At planting is a very critical stage when it comes to tomato farming. So you hold your tomato this way, and remember we made holes, and place your tomato. What comes to your mind when we say it's tomato planting day, or when you plan for tomato planting day? What comes to your mind? Is it placing the seedling and placing it, or what comes to your mind? Planting tomatoes is a series of activities, and today I want to take you step by step how to successfully transplant your tomatoes. And this applies either in drip irrigation, furrow irrigation, or the rain-fed. But in our case today, we'll be using furrow irrigation as our learning area in tomato farming. So today is our tomato planting day, and let's learn how tomatoes are planted. At planting is a very critical stage when it comes to tomato farming. There are other things that need to be done before planting, and among them that needs a lot of care, a lot of scientific approach. Like farming is the art and science, and tomato farming now brings all the art and science. So at planting, you need to be very cautious, because that's where success starts. One, you need to have healthy seedlings. You can raise them yourself, or you can get 3D raised seedlings from the propagator, like I've done. So these are very critical stage. You need to have your seedlings with you. So that is the first step. Then from there, when you get the seedlings, there are several things you need to look at even before you start transplanting. One is the health of the seedlings. And talking of the health of the seedlings is the general look, how the seedlings look like, the root mass, the stem of the seedlings, the leaves, the length, and everything. And what you don't need to compromise on is the pest and the disease. If the seedling is diseased or last pest, don't plant seedlings, because you plant the seedling, you introduce the pest, or you introduce the disease to the soil. Now, before we plant these seedlings, what we need to do, because now we've gotten the seedling, or we are planning to get the seedlings, there are other activities that we need to do. What do we need to do? So let me take you through the processes. Then I take you to the last bit, because I usually consider putting the seedling on the soil like the last bit now, to the art, or to the science, or to the action, or to the business, or to the activity of the day. So before planting, you need to prepare the land, and is how it's done. Before the due day, or before the planting day, or the day you want to plant your tomatoes, first of all, you need to prepare the land. You need to get your land prepared. And the land preparation is determined by the system of irrigation that you want to use. There are farmers who specifically use rain-fed, or use rain to be able to farm tomatoes. There are others who use drip line to farm tomatoes. There are farmers like us who use furrow irrigation to farm tomatoes. So you see, all those categories of farmers have different approaches when it comes to land preparation. The only thing we have in common, we usually plow the land. But now after that, the drip irrigation farmer makes the beds, or some don't make the beds, they just lay the drip line and they leave it at that point, depending with the spacing they want to use. That's what guides them how to lay the drip. Those who are using rain-fed can make planting holes, or can make also furrows like these ones, so that they plant their tomatoes. But for the fallow irrigating team, gang that I'm in, after we plant the land, we usually make the fallows. And I want you to be very keen on how these fallows are made. The tractors have made them at a spacing of 1 meter. Where I'm standing, that a spacing of 1 meter. You see, from one fallow to the other is specifically 1 meter. And please get this very clearly. You can make it 80 centimeters. You can make it 120 centimeters, 1 meter plus. But you're not supposed to make it less than 80 centimeters. Now, tomatoes, just like other crops, needs a good spacing. And when planting, that's where I'm going to guide you to why we chose this 1 meter. So for fallow irrigation, we leave at 1 meter, can go to 120, can come to 80 centimeters, depending with what you want to achieve. And now also, some farmers may decide to do their tomatoes with this fallow without blocking them, because irrigation is from one point to the other. But in my case, now I usually take a different turn, or I usually train my farmers on different turn. Once you've done such fallows, you also need to do the blocking. The blocking is so that you can be able to hold enough irrigation water. Remember, you're using farm. And we have two main lines here. We have this line, which is left, not touched, and we have another line here, which is a sub-main, that a sub-main of the irrigation system or irrigation line. So it's easy to make them because already we have the main fallows and it's easy to block them. So this is how we do the blocking. We do the blocking this way. As we do the blocking of the planting fallows, we also make the irrigation line. We make the irrigation line as we do the blocking. Everything goes hand in hand. So you cannot leave any of the two. So this is how it's done. You see, the irrigation line runs from one edge to the other. So because water flows this way and the other one flows from that direction. One thing also you need to note, fallows are not just made randomly. They are made at a certain spacing, and from one fallow to the other. In my case, I'm doing a 3 meters fallow. So 3 meters, here in the farm we use the steps. It's 1, 2, 3. So from this hedge, we do the blocking. And the head of one fallow is the beginning of another line. The head of one fallow is the beginning of another one. So the blocking that you've done here, this is the best place. All this now the unit where we prepare to plant our tomatoes, and it goes on and on and on and on, depending with the number of or the size of the land that you have. It's as simple as that. It's as critical as that. Need to be done with a lot of caution, and from there we are ready for planting. Now you come to the last bit before planting, which is making the planting holes inside the basin. You can do this and also apply manure or planting fertilizer, but the main aim of doing this is not application of manure or application of fertilizer. Is for you or the team that you're working with to be able to follow the right spacing. And the right spacing is very key, because that's where this plant will produce for the next 5 months. To 60 days of not producing, from 60 days or 75 days after transplanting, continuous harvesting. You've all managed well. The semi-determinate variety that we are doing will go for up to 5 months. That is 2 to 3 months of harvesting. So with me is a stick which is measuring 2 foot or 60 centimeters, and this is what I'll be using as my planting guide, or making holes that we will be planting with. Before that, I want to take you back. We did a spacing of from one fallow to the other, this to this. We did a spacing of 100 centimeters or 1 meter, and now from one plant to the other, we are doing a spacing of 60 centimeters. And as you can see, from one line to the other, that is spacing of 60 centimeters. Here, 60 centimeters. And there is one thing I want you to note. The holes, or where we are planting the seedling, is not at the corner of the fallow. We are starting a few centimeters from the corner of the fallow. The reason being, these corners here, when irrigating, we will be opening them for irrigation water. We will be opening them for irrigation water. So we don't want to put a seedling here, then it's carried by irrigation water. So we are giving it few centimeters, making the hole, few centimeters, making the hole, few centimeters, making the hole, and we are avoiding the corners. And another thing I want you to note is the planting position. We are not planting at the hilly part or at the highest point of the fallow. If your farm runs the direction the farm runs to, we plant towards the slanting area where the water, a lot of water will settle. Because if you plant on the higher part, you are going to miss a lot. So we're planting on the lowest part of the fallow and on the bottom of the fallow, so that the young seedling can be able to get water. Either you are targeting rains, or you are doing by irrigation. So once you mark the planting holes and make the holes, then there is nothing else left. It's planting the seedlings. Last but not least, this is what has brought us to the big event, which is tomato planting day. So we call it tomato planting day, and here is how you plant your tomatoes. Here is how you're supposed to plant your tomatoes, so that you can achieve good growing season. You do it wrong and you miss the season. So you hold your tomato this way, and remember we made holes, and place your tomato. Remember the spacing from one tomato to the other is 60 centimeters. We've already done that. You hold your tomato. You hold your tomato that way, you plant it. You see, as simple as that. What's that? So that's how we plant our tomatoes. Simple and in a good way, focusing productivity. Remember, the spacing from one plant to the other is 60 centimeters. The spacing from one line to the other is 100 centimeters, 80 to 100 centimeters. Hope you've learned something. If it's your first time, kindly subscribe to this channel so that we can continue learning together. Bye.